fellow bookworms, to Dresden. My name is Whitney, and we just finished reading Stormfront by Jim Butcher. So, yesterday I uploaded my video covering the last set of chapters, which was chapters 21 through 27. So, if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. We do the discussion questions on the final set of chapters. And as you can see, if you did see that video, I am wearing the same outfit because for me it's the same day. I'm just jumping right into my final thoughts. And yeah, this book was so enjoyable. And it is one I've read before, as I mentioned when we first started this book, but I don't have any recollection of what happened in this book at all. Even as I was reading, like, I don't remember anything. And that's nothing on the book itself. Like, it is a really good book. It's more of a me thing. And, I read this several years ago, and a lot has kind of happened since then. And so I'm really glad I reread it. And even as I was rereading it, I kept, like, telling my husband, like, how do I not remember any of this? Like, it's such a good book. And what I really enjoyed about this book was it was very entertaining, and it kept you thinking and guessing along with him. Like, Harry's a wizard, and he's basically a private investigator wizard is what he is. And he's helping the cops, solve a case, but he also gets, drug into the case on several different fronts. And it was just really, fast paced and entertaining, and there's good, like, little bits of humor in there as well. And like I said, and it kept you kind of thinking and guessing along with him. So it wasn't too easy of a read, but it wasn't something that took a lot of brain power either. It was something that you could just dive right in and be entertained by. And so that's what I enjoyed the most about this book. And there's really nothing that I didn't enjoy about the book, I have to say. Like, it was really good. The only thing, okay, I take that back. The only thing I will say is the end, like, you kind of have this big, climax, and then the end is just kind of like an afterthought to tie up all the little loose ends. That's the only thing I will say that I didn't enjoy. I think the end could have been more of like a full chapter itself, really, tying up those loose ends without just kind of being like running down, like, oh, okay, well, let me update you on this person, this person, this person. So that's the only thing I didn't enjoy, but even then, there was humor in that that made it entertaining as well. So even though I didn't like how it was done, I still enjoyed it. So it was kind of, half a dozen one way, half a dozen the other. So, but yeah, it's definitely a book I would recommend, especially if you are into kind of more fantasy reads, and like, kind of like thriller. Not really, I mean, maybe partially thriller, but more like mystery type. Like, you're kind of investigating the case along with him. I thought it was really enjoyable. It was super easy to read. Like I said, it didn't take a lot of brain power, and was super fast paced and just really kept you engaged and guessing. And I do think it was a good book that had a lot of talking points. So if you want to, hopefully you read it along with me and participated in my discussion questions. But if you wanted to read it with a group of friends or a book club, and kind of discuss it with other people, it's definitely a book that you can do that with. And even when I read it the first time, I do remember, discussing it with my husband, because he obviously was the one that introduced me to the book. And then my aunt and my cousin also had read it, and so I discussed it with them as well. And so it was, it's definitely one that's easy to talk about. And I think a lot of people just enjoy it. Like, it's just a simple, enjoyable book without being overly simple either. Like, it's the writing's really good, and the author really does, build these characters for you and such. So, and I think, as since it is a series, hopefully, he'll continue to kind of get more into the backstory of the characters that we're dealing with, and kind of build their character lineup even more. I hope I will see that, but I'm just really excited to have read it. I'm glad I decided to reread it, and I do hope if you didn't participate with us, you will pick it up and maybe go back and do the discussion questions as you read it, and then of course maybe head on over to my website to do the final set of discussion questions that cover the whole book. But definitely one I would recommend, especially if you kind of like fantasy and kind of like, you know, solving the mystery along with the character, and like more fast paced, just easy reads that are really entertaining. That's what I would classify this as. But if you read it, let me know your thoughts down below. And I hope you will join us. We are going to continue the Dresden File series. And so we've already started Full Moon, and I will be discussing this book this Saturday. So I hope you are subscribed and you do have the bell notification on. And we are also breaking this down into chapters. We aren't doing discussion questions on this, but it will be broken down into chapters, and we'll kind of, break down the chapters and discuss the characters and what's happening, set by set. But I'm really excited to dive right into this one as well, and I hope you will join me for that. And since, of course, this is my final thoughts, just want to remind you this week we did start V.C. Andrews' My Sweet Audrina, which is the book of the month for September. And the last thing I do want to do is I think I'm going to do this for each video and just do like my favorite quote from the book. And so for Jim Butcher, my favorite quote was in chapter 14 on page 193. And so of course it's Harry talking, but he says, "A 3-foot circle was not enough to perform wrestling or gymnastics or anything else in, without leaving something sticking out for the waiting demon to chew on." So that was my favorite quote from the book. Like, it just, that whole chapter was definitely my favorite chapter, chapter 14. And so that was like my favorite line for sure. And so yeah, that's it for this video. And I hope you enjoyed this book as much as I did. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.